The creatine truth bodybuilders don't want you to know. Creatine has been a staple in the bodybuilding world for decades. It's affordable, widely available, and supported by a massive body of research. From beginners to competitive athletes, it's often the first supplement added to a training routine. But here's the truth most bodybuilders don't emphasize, not because it's some hidden secret, but because it's not dramatic enough to market. Creatine works, just not in the exaggerated overnight transformation way many people expect. It doesn't instantly pack on slabs of muscle, it doesn't melt fat, and it doesn't turn an inconsistent routine into a championship physique. What it actually does is far more practical and far more subtle. Creatine improves your ability to produce short bursts of energy, it helps you squeeze out an extra rep, and it supports performance consistency. Over time, those small performance advantages can compound into noticeable strength and muscle gains. But the key word is over time. Today, we're breaking down 8 honest truths about creatine. No hype, no scare tactics, no magic promises, just clear, realistic insights that help you understand what it does, what it doesn't do, and how to use it smarter for long-term progress. But before we begin, drop your name and the city you're watching from in the comments below. Alright, let's get started. Number 1. It doesn't directly build muscle. Creatine doesn't magically grow your biceps. It's easy to look at a scoop of powder and imagine it directly building muscle. The marketing often makes it sound that way: bigger arms, explosive strength, and rapid gains. But physiologically, that's not what creatine does. Creatine helps your muscles regenerate ATP, your body's immediate energy source for short, high-intensity efforts. That's it. It improves your ability to produce quick bursts of power. It may allow you to lift slightly heavier weight. It might help you squeeze out 1 or 2 extra reps at the end of a tough set. That's the mechanism. The actual muscle growth, that comes from the stimulus you create during training and how your body responds afterward. Progressive overload, sufficient protein intake, adequate calories, quality sleep, and recovery. Those are the real drivers of hypertrophy. Creatine simply enhances your capacity to apply effort. If you're not training consistently, eating enough protein, and allowing time for adaptation, creatine won't create muscle on its own. It doesn't override poor programming. It doesn't compensate for skipped workouts. Think of it as a performance amplifier. If your routine is solid, it can help you get more out of each session. Over months, that slightly higher training output can translate into measurable muscle growth. But the powder isn't building your arms, your discipline is. Number 2. The size you see at first isn't pure muscle. That quick size increase? It's mostly water. One of the first things people notice when they start taking creatine is that their muscles look a little bigger within the first couple of weeks. Shirts fit slightly tighter. Arms look fuller in the mirror. The pump during workouts feels more pronounced. It's easy to assume you've suddenly built new muscle tissue, but what's actually happening is different. Creatine pulls water into your muscle cells. This process, known as intracellular hydration, increases the amount of fluid stored inside the muscle. When muscle cells hold more water, they expand slightly. That expansion makes them appear fuller and can make them feel firmer to the touch. It's not fake, it's functional. That added water supports performance. Well-hydrated muscle cells function more efficiently. Cellular hydration can help optimize the environment for strength output and recovery. So the visual change isn't meaningless. It's tied to how creatine works at a physiological level. However, it's important to separate this from actual muscle tissue growth. True hypertrophy, the increase in muscle fiber size, takes time. It requires progressive overload, adequate protein intake, and consistent recovery over weeks and months. The early size from creatine is primarily water. The real muscle growth comes later, driven by the improved training capacity creatine helps support. Understanding that difference prevents unrealistic expectations and unnecessary disappointment. Number 3. You don't need fancy versions. Expensive labels don't equal better results. Walk into any supplement store and you'll see flashy containers promising ultra-absorbed, buffered, or next-generation creatine formulas. The packaging looks advanced, the price is higher, and the claims sound impressive. It's easy to assume that more expensive means more effective, but when it comes to creatine, that's usually not true. Creatine monohydrate. The basic and affordable version is the most studied and most consistently proven form available. Decades of research have examined its safety, effectiveness, and performance benefits. It reliably increases muscle creatine stores and supports strength and power output when taken consistently. Many of the so-called advanced versions haven't demonstrated superior results in well-controlled research. Some are simply creatine monohydrate combined with extra ingredients. Others are marketed as being easier on digestion or better absorbed, but for most healthy individuals, standard monohydrate is already absorbed efficiently. That doesn't mean alternative forms are harmful, it just means they're often unnecessary. For most people, simple works just fine. A basic, high-quality creatine monohydrate powder taken daily at an appropriate dose delivers the same core benefits as more expensive versions. The real results come from consistent training, nutrition, and recovery, not from a more elaborate label. When it comes to creatine, effectiveness isn't about complexity, it's about consistency. Number 4. Loading phases aren't mandatory. You don't have to overload your body to see results. If you've researched creatine before, you've probably seen the traditional loading phase protocol. 20 grams per day, split into multiple doses for about 5 to 7 days. The idea is simple. Saturate your muscle creatine stores as quickly as possible, and yes, it works. Loading can raise muscle creatine levels faster. Within a week, stores are typically near maximum capacity. But here's what often gets overlooked. Loading is optional, not mandatory. Your muscles will reach full saturation either way. A steady intake of 3 to 5 grams per day gradually increases muscle creatine stores over several weeks. It's a slower approach, but the end result is essentially the same. Once saturation is reached, performance benefits become similar, regardless of whether you load it or not. For many people, the slower method is actually more comfortable. Large loading doses are more likely to cause digestive discomfort, bloating, or mild stomach upset, especially if taken in big, single servings. Spreading intake evenly at a moderate daily dose often reduces these side effects. Unless you need rapid saturation for a specific short-term goal, there's no physiological requirement to overload your body. Consistency matters more than speed. Creatine works through accumulation, not intensity of dosing. A simple, steady 3 to 5 grams per day is enough to build stores safely and effectively without overwhelming your system. Number 5. It's not just for bodybuilders. This supplement isn't exclusive to big guys in tank tops. Creatine often gets associated with massive bodybuilders, heavy deadlifts, and stage-ready physiques under bright lights. That image has followed it for decades. But the truth is, creatine's benefits aren't limited to competitive lifters chasing trophies. Creatine supports cellular energy production. That function applies to anyone who uses their muscles, which means almost everyone. Older adults, for example, can benefit significantly. As we age, natural muscle mass and strength gradually decline. Resistance training is the most effective way to slow that process, and creatine can enhance the results of that training by improving strength output and recovery. For someone over 50, simply trying to maintain independence, balance, and functional strength, that matters. Recreational lifters can benefit too. You don't need to bench press 300 pounds to see value. If you're training a few times a week to stay healthy, build moderate muscle, or improve performance, creatine can support those goals just as effectively. Even individuals focused primarily on preserving lean mass, while dieting may find it helpful. Maintaining strength during a calorie deficit is challenging, and creatine can assist with performance consistency. The bodybuilding world popularized creatine, but it doesn't own it. At its core, creatine supports effort. And effort isn't exclusive to stage competitors. It belongs to anyone committed to staying strong, capable, and resilient over time. Number 6. It doesn't replace discipline. You can't out-supplement poor habits. It's easy to believe that adding the right supplement will compensate for everything else. But if your sleep schedule is inconsistent, your protein intake is too low, and your workouts lack structure, creatine won't magically correct those gaps. Creatine enhances your body's ability to produce quick energy during high-intensity efforts. That's its role. It may help you push a little harder or recover slightly faster between sets. But it doesn't replace the fundamentals that drive progress. Sleep is when your body repairs muscle tissue and regulates hormones that influence recovery and growth. If you're consistently undersleeping, performance and adaptation suffer, regardless of supplementation. Protein provides the building blocks for muscle repair. Without adequate intake, your body simply doesn't have the raw materials needed to grow or maintain lean mass. Training structure matters too. Random workouts without progressive overload won't create consistent adaptation. Creatine can amplify effort, but it can't create direction. It amplifies what you're already doing. If your habits are solid, consistent resistance training, sufficient protein, proper hydration, and quality sleep, creatine can enhance those efforts over time. The small performance boosts compound into meaningful progress. But if the foundation is unstable, creatine won't save you. Supplements support discipline, they don't replace it. Number 7. It's safer than many people think. The kidney myth has scared people for years. For decades, creatine has been unfairly linked to kidney damage in gym conversations and online forums. The concern usually starts with one observation: creatine can raise creatinine levels on blood tests. Since creatinine is commonly used as a marker for kidney function, many people assume that any increase must mean harm. But that assumption skips important context. Creatinine is a natural breakdown product of creatine metabolism. Your body produces it every day, even if you've never touched a supplement. When you take creatine, you slightly increase the total pool of creatine in your body, which means a small increase in creatinine production can follow. In healthy individuals with normal kidney function, this does not automatically indicate damage. Large bodies of research have consistently examined creatine at recommended doses, typically 3 to 5 grams per day, and found it to be safe for healthy adults. The key phrase is healthy individuals. If someone has pre-existing kidney disease or impaired renal function, supplementation should always be discussed with a healthcare provider. But, for the average healthy person, a mild elevation in creatinine on lab work often reflects supplementation, not dysfunction. The misunderstanding happens when numbers are viewed without context. Creatine doesn't stress healthy kidneys simply by existing in your system. It changes lab markers in predictable ways, and predictable does not mean dangerous. Understanding that difference replaces fear with clarity, and clarity leads to better decisions. Number 8. The real secret is boring. Here's the part nobody markets. Creatine works best when you're patient. There's no dramatic rush, no tingling sensation, and no instant surge of motivation like you might feel with caffeine or a pre-workout. You don't take it and suddenly feel stronger 10 minutes later. In fact, on most days, you won't feel anything at all. And that's exactly the point. Creatine doesn't rely on stimulation. It works quietly in the background by gradually increasing your muscle's stored phosphocreatine levels. Over time, that allows you to produce slightly more quick energy during short, intense efforts, another rep, a little more weight, a bit more total training volume. Those small improvements compound. But because the effect is subtle, many people underestimate it. We're conditioned to look for dramatic signals, something that proves a supplement is working. Sweating more, heart racing, and a visible pump that feels extreme. Creatine doesn't advertise itself like that. Instead, it rewards consistency. Weeks go by, and you realize your strength is trending upward. Your recovery between sets feels steadier, your performance doesn't drop off as quickly. It's not flashy, it's reliable, and in training, reliability beats hype every time. The truth is, the people who benefit most from creatine are rarely the ones chasing instant results. They're the ones who show up, train consistently, eat well, recover properly, and let the small advantages accumulate. Creatine supports discipline, it doesn't replace it. In a world obsessed with quick fixes, creatine's greatest strength is its simplicity. Steady input, steady output. Patience isn't exciting, but it works. So what's the real creatine truth? It's not a miracle, it's not dangerous for healthy users, and it's definitely not magic muscle powder. Creatine is a tool. A simple, effective, well-researched tool. Bodybuilders don't necessarily hide this truth, but flashy promises sell better than boring consistency, and the reality is that creatine shines quietly in the background while your training does the real work. If you understand that, you'll use it smarter than most people. Now, I want to hear from you. Did creatine live up to your expectations, or were you surprised by how subtle it felt? Drop your experience in the comments. And if you'd like a follow-up video on how to take creatine properly, when to cycle it, or whether it's worth it after 50, hit like, subscribe, and let me know. Because informed fitness always beats hype-driven fitness.